Hello! Hope everyone out there is doing well and has had a good week. I've had a good week. Nothing super exciting that comes to mind right off the bat, so I thought I'd revisit a topic that I mentioned very briefly a couple videos ago. I kind of mentioned offhand that I had a bit of a hard time getting and staying pregnant. So I'll talk about that. I'd gone off birth control and I was on the pill previously. Didn't have any problems or anything taking the pill. Had been on it for a number of years. So I was expecting a little while for hormones to kind of get used to a natural, non-interrupted cycle, but it took a little longer than I was kind of thinking. So anyway, I'd had one, about 6 months down the road, I guess, had a positive pregnancy test, but then a few days later a period started. So, got my hopes up a little bit, but then didn't implant, nothing came of it, which is normal. It happens a lot. I think, I was reading that there's a lot more miscarriages than we're discovering than we thought there were before, because we have the ability to detect pregnancies a lot earlier than we used to. And so, I got my hopes up. Nothing. Second time I tested positive. Things I thought were going well. I was getting a bit of morning sickness. Not really anything crazy, just mild queasiness. And some food aversions, which were not as nice. Really strange. And I wasn't expecting, people, when I was reading about food aversions, didn't really come to mind that, I figured it would be the normal food, whatever it is, and it would just suddenly be not appealing or make me, feel ill or whatever. But it actually changed my sensory experience of that thing. So gum, not mint gum, but candy flavored gum, smelled like wet paint. And marshmallow bananas also were like a really gross kind of, chemically thing. And then the one that really got me very sad was the day that the coffee kind of had a burnt plasticky sort of experience. That was not cool. That was very not appreciated. But at the time, I was like, well, you know what? It's one of those wacky things of pregnancy. I'll put up with it, because I'm gonna have a baby. Yay! And then I had an ultrasound, dating confirmation, whatever, ultrasound. Then they asked me to come back in a week, or in a few days, because they couldn't, at the time they were saying that they, couldn't detect things properly, not able to get the measurements that they needed. So, okay, fine. Went back a few days later, only to find out that I had something called a blighted ovum, which is basically fertility's practical joke. and it's in very poor taste. What happens is an egg gets fertilized, conception happens, could, it probably implants properly, things are going along, and the blastocyte, embryo, whatever it is at that stage, it splits into, it when it starts dividing cells, part of it goes to the actual baby, part of it is the yolk sac, part of it is kind of becomes the amniotic sac, I believe. Anyway, or the placenta, something. Anyway, there's 3 layers, and that's just how things start to develop initially. How a blighted ovum works is one or more of those layers don't end up developing, and in my case, it was the baby part. Had a yolk sac, quite happy, ready to go, and whatever other stuff was happening. So enough pregnancy was happening to have all the hormonal nonsense happening, and first trimester shenanigans, fatigue, queasiness, food aversions, but then there was no baby. So it was really disappointing. I was really upset, and the worst part of it was that I'd had all the other, like all the normal things for the first trimester, normal sensations, normal things that you read about, and I was feeling otherwise healthy. It just didn't happen, and I was really disappointed, very upset. And then I had another, positive pregnancy test, but nothing came of it. And then finally I had my baby. Finally. And I'm really happy with my kid. She's a great baby. She's wonderful. All those wonderful things. But I'm not going to say that it was a meant to be type thing, that first pregnancy that seemed to be going along but then ended up being a blighted ovum, that was sort of meant to be in order to, because it wasn't going to be her. That sentiment is, no, it doesn't sit well with me. Sometimes bad things just happen. That's life. Life isn't necessarily fair. It isn't always puppies and rainbows, and sad things just happen. It's part of life. And trivializing that experience by saying, well, I'm so happy with the baby that I have now, it kind of, you don't trade one for the other. I'm really glad with her. I still mourned the one that I didn't have. That's okay. But yeah, fertility, nature, biology, sometimes it can be a jerk. And then sometimes it turns out okay. So if you're having struggles, I'm sorry. I hope you're pulling through and you've got whatever support you need to see you through the rough times. If you haven't had any problems, but from find the topic interesting, I'll throw a link or two down below in the description with some more information about it, because just biology is weird. It's kind of interesting sometimes when it's not impacting you directly. And yeah, kind of rambling on for a longer time than normal this time. But take care of yourselves, and we'll talk later. Bye.